everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Madita and today I'm going to be showing you all of my favorite books of 2023. Last year I read a total of 200 books. I know, I only hit 200 because on New Year's Eve I read one last book because 199 just sounded so ugly I had to get it to 200. And out of the 200 books, I think I gave 15 books 5 stars. I'm very picky, guys, okay? I'm very picky. Now, I'm not able to show you all of my 5-star reads because some of them were rereads, so it's not really 15 new 5-star reads, and that's why there's also going to be some of my favorite 4 stars in here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this list of masterpieces that I read last year, and if you haven't read these books, what are you doing with your life? You have to read it right now. I am forcing you. It is a law. So let's get started. Starting off strong, we have one of my new favorite fantasy series, and that is an Ember in the Ashes! And this series is just amazing. Point blank period. I read the entire series last year. Let me just say one thing. Happiness is not an emotion in this book, okay? You will only feel sadness and you will have to be okay with that. This book is filled with dark storylines, betrayal, and moral questions, and honestly, I loved every second of it. So this book is about Laya, who's trying to save her brother after he was arrested for treason, but she knows that this rescue mission isn't going to be easy because the empire that they live in is such a powerful force, okay? They have such a large army, and any person that shows any type of defiance against the empire will be arrested and killed. So she decides to contact the rebels and ask them for help. But the rebellion doesn't just want to help her, no. They want her to become a spy at the military academy for the empire, which is just the scariest mission on this entire planet. She has not been a rebel for a while. She's a child. She doesn't know what to do, but somehow she gets thrown into this academy now. And let me just tell you this, it's scary from here on out. And don't even get me started on how brutal the academy is. You know, sometimes I wonder to myself if I could survive in a fantasy book, and I can confidently say that I would die within the first minute of being here. But while she's being a spy and being all impossible at the academy, she actually meets one of their finest soldiers, and his name is Elias. Now, Elias also has his dark secrets, just like Laya. So both of them get to know each other and start to confide in each other, and they realize, oh my god, are our destinies intertwined? Can we save this empire? Can we save the world? Don't even get me started on the enemy in this book, because the enemy in this book is pure evil. I think the villain in this book is my top villain of this year. Like, they're just pure evil, no goodness in their heart. I love it. And honestly, if you like a little bit of a sad book that is served on the main course with amazing characters, great world building, and overall great storyline, then you will like this. You will accept the tears. You will be fine with all the crying you will have to do while reading this book because everything else is just amazing about it. So read this fantasy series. Ooh. The next book I have for all of you here today is my favorite book of last year. So round of applause. Open Water. Oh my god. The water was running from my eyes. Hint the title. So Open Water is technically a romance story, but it's so much more because it also tackles racism, toxic masculinity, anxiety, and just the fear of not belonging anywhere. And they did it in such a gut-wrenching way. I could not stop crying anymore. I currently want to cry again. On top of that, this book is just written in the most beautiful way possible. I cannot comprehend how someone can write such beautiful sentences. And I'm going to be reading a quote to you now to prove how beautiful this book is. You two are in something. I don't know what it is, but you guys are in something. Some people call it a relationship, some call it a friendship, some call it love, but you two are in something. And then it gets better. The two of you, like headphone wires tangling, caught up in this something, a happy accident, a messy miracle. When I tell you I gasped! When I tell you I gasped! Anyways, so Open Water is about 2 young black artists that live in London, and over the course of the book, I think you can guess they fall in love. And while they're falling in love with each other, they're also trying to find their place in the world, him as a photographer and her as a dancer, but also at the same time, so many obstacles are thrown in their way. It's like the entire world is working against them, and they're thrown apart and torn apart, and they have to fight for their love, and it's so amazing and gut-wrenching and sad, and I think I've said gut-wrenching now so many times already with this book, but it just is gut-wrenching. And I think one of my favorite parts about this book is that it's written in the second perspective, aka you, because it adds such a layer of mystery to the book because you don't know who these characters are. You don't have a name. And now I could be very wrong about this, but it's just my theory. I think it's because this isn't just a story of 2 random fictional people. I think this is the story of a lot of people in real life, and maybe the author didn't want to make it very specific to a fictional character then. Don't take my word for this though, okay? I could be very, very wrong, and if I am, it's embarrassing. So let's pretend I didn't say it then, okay? Also, I want to have a personal conversation with Nelson because the way he describes love is something that I've never read before in my entire life, but it's so real and it makes so much sense. I do not understand how a person can be that creative. And don't even get me started on the inclusion of music in this book and how the lyrics in certain songs make the story so much better. If you read this book, you have to listen to the music that is included in here because it adds more emotions to the book and it just makes everything so much more better. And I didn't even think it could get any better, but it did. Read this book. Oh Lord, the next book I have for all of you here made me cry for hours, and that is Sadie. So Sadie is a story about a girl named Sadie who is out for revenge after her sister got brutally killed, and she's trying to hunt down the killer. I haven't felt anger like this in a long time. I honestly wanted to have a punching bag in my room while reading this book because I was becoming so furious with so many characters. Let me explain. So as I already said, this book is basically the journey of Sadie trying to find her sister's killer because she wants to punish him for what he did. And at the same time, this radio host named West actually finds out about Sadie's sister's story, and he then starts a podcast on it, and at the same time, he wants to track down Sadie because he wants to find out what actually happened. That was a lot of information. And so then this book is told out of two different perspectives. One, Sadie, and two, West with the podcast. And when I tell you that the secrets in this book are disgusting and disturbing and make me want to throw up, I am not lying. Sadie's life is literally so awful. I cannot believe what she had to go through. I wanted to jump into this book so many times and just hug Sadie because I was feeling so horrible for her and I just could not stop crying. Like, this isn't just a light thriller. No, this is like dark. This is a dark YA thriller. I actually am confused about how this is YA, but it somehow is. And if you do want to read it, you need to read the trigger warnings because I had to breathe so many times while reading this book. I had to take breaks for my own health because I could not stop crying, and it was getting actually concerning how much I was crying while reading this. Know what you're getting yourself into when reading this book. Now the next series I have for all of you here today is very obviously Once Upon a Broken Heart. Now, I haven't read the third book, but I have read Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After, and both of these got 5 stars. Now, if you haven't read this series, you are literally missing out on a large amount of happiness in your life, so you should read it. Basically, Once Upon a Broken Heart is about Evangeline and Jax, the Prince of Hearts, and currently Evangeline is feeling anything but love in her life. Why, you may ask? Well, because her lover is currently marrying another girl. The betrayal? Over the top. So in order to stop the wedding, Evangeline makes a deal with Jax, and this is where the juicy part of the story begins, because Jax doesn't just want to help Evangeline because of the goodness of his heart. No, ew, he wants something in return, and that is 3 kisses. And then Evangeline, for some reason, says yes. I mean, I would too because Jax is super hot, but still. So then over the course of the book, Evangeline actually finds out why he asked for those 3 kisses and figures out that Jax has his own personal desires and secrets. Ooh! I mean, as you already know, I absolutely love this story, and I think I loved it even more just because I read Caraval before and just knew a lot more about Jax and his backstory, and it made just everything a little bit more intense. And yeah, I knew Stephanie was able to write good tension and good chemistry because of the Caraval series, but in this book, oh my god, it just improved by a million. Like, Caraval is here. Once Upon a Broken Heart is here. Her writing is just so magical and beautiful. You don't even notice that you're reading, and suddenly 3 hours have passed and you're done with the book, and then you don't know what to do with your life anymore. So yeah, if you want to read an amazing romantasy series, read this. Next, I have 2 thrillers by the same author, and I wonder if you can guess who it is. Yup, it's Holly Jackson. Now, I don't actually have 5 Survive with me right now because it's in my Christmas tree, but I do have Killjoy with me, which is the other thriller that I read this year that was a 5-star. So Killjoy is the prequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it just gives you a lot more information about Pippa and her friends and why Pippa even decided to investigate this case of Andy Bell. And honestly, I just love this book for what it was because it was a fake murder mystery story, and you can kind of see how Pippa is even able to solve the case of Andy Bell than in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series because she already has a little bit of like a talent for that, and you can see that in this book. So it's just so good. It's so fun, and I definitely think you should read this if you love A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Now, 5 Survive though. whoa! Holy heck, my tears could not stop falling and I was feeling betrayed on every single page. I was not able to survive this. I'm currently a ghost. Like, I'm dead. So 5 Survive is about Red Kenny, who's currently on a camping trip with 5 of her friends, and then for some reason, their RV breaks down, and then they get shot at. What a lovely afternoon, you know? So then, over the course of the book, they have to figure out why they're being shot at and how they can escape this RV, and that all takes place in the time span of 8 hours. Also, they were 6 in the beginning, and now they're 5. You have to figure out what happens. I'm not gonna tell you. What I will tell you, however, is that I was having little gasp moments on every single page in this book, and that the secrets in this book were so shocking, my jaw was on the floor and I was not able to pick it up again. And I think that if you love A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, or even The Inheritance Games, or Truly Devious, or any type of thrillers, that you will enjoy this book. It's just such a nice standalone thriller that is like very, very dark and has a very, very good writing style and a very good main character. I loved it. Next is a book that is very different from what I usually read because it's poetry. Let me introduce to you My Life at a Loaded Gun, a masterpiece, an icon, and a legend. This was actually my last read of 2023 and the book that made me get the 200, but it also made me realize that I'm too depressed to read sad poetry books because I will be contemplating life. So many of these poems felt like thoughts that I've had before, like the poem, I Took My Power in My Hand, was so powerful, I cannot comprehend how you can put so many emotions into 7 words. Teach me your ways, Emily Dickinson! And on top of that, the theme of death was described so hauntingly in this book, I wanted to run away because I was so scared. How is death so scary in this book? I don't understand. I don't. But now let me talk about the poem that this book was named after. My Life Had Stood a Loaded Gun. Emily compares being an object to being a woman, and I just love how she described power imbalances in relationships and marriages. It was so amazing, and you can definitely tell that Emily has a lot of hatred and anger and rage towards a specific man in her life. And I also think, but I could be wrong, that she actually has a secret lover that is a woman, and that makes everything more intense in this book. I could be wrong though. Again, don't take my word for this. I might be very bad at poetry. We don't know. And honestly, this is just such a great collection of poetry about death and sadness and darkness and power imbalance. And I definitely did not read this because I wanted to feel sad. Oh my god, next is another book that made me bawl my eyes out. Can you tell that's a theme in this video? And that is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. And you know, this book made me want to let go of my favorite hobby, aka reading, because it was just so sad. Kennedy Ryan apparently didn't want anyone to feel joy while reading this book because even though this is a romance story, there's so much to it. There's forgiveness, second chances, self-hatred, loss, guilt, and also at some point healing. But that's really at some point. So this book is about Yasmin and Josiah, who are basically the definition of true love, but then something very, very dark and tragic happens in their life that they have to break apart basically for their own happiness. So this book then starts off with them being separated, and Yasmin basically says that she has recovered from her past, but you can kind of tell that she hasn't, and they're both just trying to tackle co-parenting all while being business partners. Over the course of the book then, you can tell that there's a lot of tension between Yasmin and Josiah, and at one point the tension implodes, and boom, they kiss. But that one kiss then unravels everything. Like, yes, they're happy that they're together again in secret, but they're also not happy because they haven't tackled the past and they have never talked about what actually happened to them and why they broke apart. So they have to start facing their fears and their past. And when I tell you the facing their past scenes were dark, I'm not lying. I was not prepared for this and I read the trigger warnings. I knew what was going to happen and I still wasn't ready for it. That's how sad this book is. So my warning for you all is, if you want to read this book, check the trigger warnings because you need to protect your peace and be ready for this before reading this book. The next book I have for all of you is a happy book, thank God, and that is The Italian Job. This book made me feel so much happiness, but also at the same time made me want to change my career path and literally become a house sitter for castles in Italy. Why can't I do that right now? So this book is about Anna, whose life is currently being put into a blender and then destroyed. So she has now decided to get a new job, aka house sitting, gorgeous villas in Italy. And right when she thinks nothing else can go wrong in her life, another problem gets thrown at her. And that is that the owners basically want a couple to house sit their villa. So now she has to find a fake husband. Now who's that going to be? Dun dun dun, her childhood neighbor and rival, Jake. Now, Jake and Anna never really got along for many different reasons, so Jake is really confused why Anna even proposed this deal to him, but he also realizes that his life is very sad and that he would rather chill in Italy, so he agrees to the fake dating. And this is where the story starts to get very interesting. Not only do they now have to pretend to be a couple in Italy in a gorgeous castle, no, they also have to pretend that they're not growing feelings for each other. Ooh! So even though this is a fake dating romance story and that plotline is usually very similar, I feel like this was very different, but maybe that was also just the setting in Italy. But I loved it anyways. Read this book if you want to have a cute summer romance book that makes you want to move to Italy. The next book I have for all of you here is Criminal Minds, but for teenagers, and that is The Naturals. So this book is about Cassie, who's really good at reading other people's minds, so she knows always what we're thinking. And she doesn't think much of her talent until the FBI shows up at her house, and they say, Cassie, you, us, let's make a team of super cool teenagers that solve cold cases. Are you in? So Cassie's like, do I want to join the FBI on a super cool teenage squad team? Yes. So then the FBI brings Cassie to the super secret squad hideout where all the other teenagers are. And let me tell you this, every single teenager in this book has such a cool hidden talent. I want them all. Why am I not them? This book then gets even more juicier when they finally start solving cold cases, because the one cold case that is the main case in this book hits home for some reason. Like, their secrets are related to this case, and so not only do we get secrets about the case, but we also get secrets about the members of the Teenage Mutant, super strong, super powered teenage squad people. Like, get your popcorn out while reading this book because the entertainment is over the roof and you'll be shocked at every corner. The next book I have for all of you here is a fantasy book, but also a murder mystery book, and that is House of Salt and Sorrows. This book is basically Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses, but like, make it horror. And I love that. So this book is about Anna Leigh, who lives a very sheltered life in a manor by the sea with her 11 sisters. Basically, what we find out pretty early into this book is that this family is cursed, because for some reason, Anna Leigh at the beginning of this book had 11 sisters. Now she has 7. Anna is obviously horrified and so heartbroken because her sister's deaths seem to be getting more horrifying and more gruesome with every death. So she's like, someone has to be behind this. What's this curse? How can I stop this? Let me solve this riddle. I need to save my sisters. So she does. So while she's investigating these deaths, she finds out so many secrets about her sisters and her family and this manor and the town she lives in. It's honestly horrifying. And on top of that, there's weird ghosts roaming the castle, and her sisters keep sneaking out at night to attend glittering balls to dance with strangers. And Anna Leigh isn't even sure if these strangers are alive or if they're dead ghosts. It's scary out here. And then, which I didn't expect could even happen, the story gets even more intense because Anna Leigh becomes very close with this strange man who also has its own secrets, and those secrets somehow relate to the secrets of the castle. Murder mystery, castle magic, 12 dancing princesses? What more could I want in life, you know? This is, in my opinion, a perfect read in the middle of the night on a very rainy day. So read this book. The next book I have for all of you here today is also a horror book, but it's sapphic, and that is A Dowry of Blood. So this book is about obsession, desire, and control, but like in correlation to Dracula's first bride, Constanta, and it's written out as a love letter. How much cooler can this book get? So this book is about Constanta, who was saved at the brink of death by a mysterious stranger, aka Dracula, and now she has become his wife. And over the course of the book, then she realizes that her husband actually isn't perfect and that he's capable of doing very terrible things. And she now has to decide if she wants to escape this life and be free, or if she wants to stay with him because she loves him. And honestly, I was so shocked with how this book ended because we get introduced to 2 other characters that are very important to Constanta, and you can see how the decisions she makes now influences them as well. And so I then just absolutely love the ending of this book because I just didn't expect it at all. It was so shocking to me. I usually have a lot of theories going into a book with how it ends, and that ending was not even an idea in my head. That's how shocking it was, and I loved every second of it. So if you want to read like a dark romantic horror book that also is like an easy introduction into the horror genre, because this isn't horror, this is just horror, I feel like this is the perfect book for you. Next, I have a book that I've talked about a lot before, and that is Truly Devious. This is yet again a YA murder mystery book, but it takes place at an academy for the super intelligent. I love it. So this book is about Stevie Bell, who is a true crime lover, okay? She's like all those cold case podcasters that we have nowadays. And she actually decides to go to this one academy called Ellingham Academy, which is for the super intelligent, only because she wants to solve a crime that took place there a couple years ago. which is so cool of her. Why not choose a school because of a murder that took place there? What a way to choose a college, you know? Basically what happened is the year that the school was opened, the daughter and the wife of the owner of the school were kidnapped and killed, and no one was ever able to solve the cases. The only thing that was left behind were like stupid riddles, and no one can do anything with them. So now Stevie Bell arrives and she's like, let me do this. I know how to do this. I'm a crime solver. Yet what Stevie Bell doesn't expect is that there's another murder right when she arrives at the school. Can this book get any darker? A triple murder, and all apparently by the same person? Oh my god. So now Stevie Bell is not only trying to solve the cold case, but also the new murder. And I think we all know where this is going to go. Shocking moments, plot twist, secret revealed, betrayals, riddles, and Lucas moments. And I loved every single moment while reading this book. And I think you will too, especially if you like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder or like The Inheritance Games. Next, I have a book for all of you here that might shock some of you that it's on this list because it's like a dystopian book set in the future, and that is All That's Left in the World. So this book plays during a virus that happens after the coronavirus, and in my head I was thinking, oh my god, I don't think I'm gonna like this book because there's gonna be Gen Z references. But I was wrong, because for some reason, the pop culture references in this book were actually good. I know, guys. I am shocked myself. I wonder if somebody took over my body while reading this book, but I was enjoying myself. So this book is about Andrew and Jamie, and they're just trying to survive out there, okay? Like, the world is horrible and they're trying to survive. So one day they decide to team up and fight against all these forces together because teamwork equals dreamwork. Over the course of the book, then they're both just trying to find a safe place where they can live, but they're also trying to fight against the feelings that they have for each other. And on top of that, they're trying to hide secrets from each other. What are you talking about? You guys are a dream team. Stop hiding stuff from each other, please! Let's just say this book is filled with a lot of sadness and scariness, but also a lot of humor, and I laughed a lot, which I love. Honestly, if you like that one series with Pedro Pascal, I don't remember the title, I'm so sorry. It's like the video game adaptation. I think you know what show I'm talking about. It's very much like that show, but like with two teenage boys, and I loved it. And then last but not least, I have yet again another collection of poetry, and that is called Loose Women. And before I even start telling you all about this book, I think I should read to you all a quote from this book that is like so amazing. They say I'm a beast and feast on it, when all along I thought that's what a woman was. I usually don't read a lot of poetry because I'm very intimidated by it, but I saw this one TikToker reading like a verse from this book and I was like, oh my god, I'm so hooked, I have to read it right now, and I was not wrong. This poetry collection is basically about a woman, her relationship with her husband, affairs, the expectations that people have in her because she's a wife, as well as family traditions, and it's executed just so beautifully and emotionally. It made me cry so many times. And even though I learned how to analyze poetry at school, I'm not going to embarrass myself by giving you all my interpretations because I'm scared that I'm gonna be wrong and I don't really want to do that to all of you. So all I'm really going to say is if you want to read a story about a woman and her love life that is very emotional and has a feminist take to it, read this book. And I think I'm going to end my review of this book with just reading one more quote that I really like about this because I cannot read every single one to you because it would be the entire book. I'll have savored you like an oyster, memorized you, held you under my tongue, learned you by heart, so that when you leave, I'll write poems. Is that why she wrote this book? Oh my god! I think I'm honestly becoming a poetry lover and I did not expect that to ever happen to me. But somehow I'm changing. I don't know what's going on with me, guys. Help me. So yeah, this is the last book in my favorite books of 2023 video, and I know that a lot of these books are very popular and that you might have read some of these already, but maybe you'll also find some new recommendations in this video. I don't know. But if you have read some of these books, definitely tell me your opinions on them because I want to know. I always love hearing people's detailed reviews and opinions on books. I just find it very interesting. Like, tell me what you hate about the book and tell me what you love about the book. Tell me everything. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of my content and other videos, you can subscribe! Definitely tell me a list of your 5-star books or your favorite books of 2023 because I need new recommendations for this year, and I want to focus this year on reading books where I'm like, yes, this is going to be a 5-star. I'm not picking up books anymore where I'm like, meh, this is gonna be okay. No, we're not doing this anymore. I need more happiness in my life, okay? And more good books. So So yeah, I hope you all have a great day, evening, nighttime, morning, whatever time zone you're in. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Go read a book! Read any of these books, okay? Please, they're all so amazing. I'm begging you. I need to talk with people about these books. Please read them! Again, thank you so much for watching today's video. Have a great day, happy reading, and see you next time.